Hare Krishna, and welcome to the 16 Days of Activism for Safer Communities campaign brought to you by the Vaishnavi Ministry. This campaign invites you to engage in a meaningful dialogue by amplifying every voice and honoring every story. We aim to create an inclusive environment where everyone feels valued and secure. Today, I'm honored to sit down with Her Grace Kusha Devi Dasi and Her Grace Ananga Manjari Devi Dasi. Today's topic is in understanding the heart of our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I will just introduce our speakers for today. Kusha Prabhu is a disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. After joining in May 1969, she took formal initiation in 1970 and second initiation in 1973. She performed an assortment of services within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, from growing the first sacred tulsi plants along with Jayashri by request of Govinda Dasi, carving the first Lord Chaitanya in the West under Srila Prabhupada's instructions, praise services, life membership, and other administration services for the past 55 years. She has served, she helped the Mexico City Temple for the installation of Radha and Krishna under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada and Turidas and Shaktimati Prabhu, under the supervision of Srila Prabhupada and Govinda Dasi. Again, she's coupled Chaitanya deities in the Western world. She was a teacher in Colorado Gurukul, preaching to Indian summer camp children, and Board of Trustees for Brindakund Project in Angawa, India, maintaining a non-profit corporation and to raise funds. So, and the list goes on and on and on. She's a Vaishnavi Ministry member, attended GBC meetings as president, and she was president of the Honolulu Temple. And well, if I will be talking, we will be spending the whole hour. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for all your services. And Ananga Manjari Prabhu has dedicated her life to the theological teachings of the Vedas and their spiritual practices for 54 years under the guidance of her spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As an interfaith reverend doctor, counselor, and inspirational speaker, she shares her insights from a broad spiritual perspective that combines Western thoughts and experiences with profound ancient Vedic teachings. She offers us a practical and fresh perspective on how to live Bhakti love in the present day. Thank you very much, Prabhu. It's wonderful being sitting here with you. I think, Ananga, can you hear me properly? Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, well, we're going to talk about Srila Prabhupada, the understanding his heart, and who better than you who were right there with him, getting not only the instructions, but the examples of Srila Prabhupada. So what is the significance of the title Founder Acharya? And why is this vital to our bhakti that we understand this?
Ananga, are you going to speak or shall I?
You go ahead.
Founder Acharya. He's teaching us by his example, gently. He very gradually brought us along, and he planted within us the seeds of bhakti. He brought it from the West. I mean, there hasn't been one person in the history of mankind who spread Krishna consciousness all over the globe. All the other prophets, Mohammed, Jesus, Buddha, they all stayed in their own constituency. He founded Krishna Conscious International Society for Krishna Consciousness all over the earth planet, all over it. He set the world on fire with Krishna consciousness, like Hanuman jumping here to there, setting all of Lanka on fire. He set the world on fire with the chanting of Hare Krishna everywhere in every town. All over the United States, I think it was Time magazine, it said Hare Krishna explosion. So he founded that just by chanting, playing his kartals under Tompkin in that big tree there. He is the founder Acharya. He's the most significant saint in the history of mankind to have done this worldwide.
Yes. So why is it vital to our bhakti that we understand this, particularly with many people joining? Why is it so difficult that we understand this?
Well, I would like to say that being founder Acharya, it distinguishes him from all other gurus to in the past or in the future, and it distinguishes him from all other acharyas from the past or in the future, and that his creation was the ISKCON Society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And as Kusha said, it became an explosion all over the world. Oftentimes when things get bigger, they become watered down. They become so many different persons that come have their own flavors of things. And of course, we each do have our own relationship with Prabhupada, and that's very important, our own heartfelt individual understanding and relationship with him. But his teachings, his example are all entwined together as the greatest gift, as Kusha said, for humanity at large. He wanted international, meaning all over the world. So he knew that many different cultures will come and involve in ISKCON, and it doesn't matter because his teachings, Krishna consciousness, is beyond all cultures, beyond all material considerations. And that's a very important factor that if we take that into consideration, it's very, very important as devotees, as followers of Prabhupada, as, if you consider yourself ISKCON member or a follower of Prabhupada or a friend of Krishna in any way, his influence and his intention, his deepest intention was just to give Krishna consciousness to everyone, not considering cultures or where you're from or exactly what you eat, but just offer sattvic foods to the Lord with devotion. These are the things that he gave us. And it was revolutionary in India. And that's why he established himself as the Prabhupada. All of my disciples are Prabhus whose feet they fall at, they follow him. So he was very, very protective of his ISKCON society. He didn't want other infiltrations, and he didn't want other cultures to change what he had given. And he didn't give Indian culture. He gave transcendence. So that's vital that we understand that he gave the transcendence. It's not Indian, it's not Russian, it's not American, it's transcendent. Anyway, that's.
Thank you, Ananga. Actually, this brings to another question. Why is it important that we do not separate Prabhupada's instructions and his books from who he is as a person?
Kushahan.
Well, Srila Prabhupada was multifold, but there were two personas. One was on the Vyasasan, he was a lion, and he preached pure bhakti at its highest standard. So many of us couldn't quite follow that highest standard. And in his rooms, he was gentle, kind, and encouraging. And he helped us along. He was personal. He was strict with himself, and he was very lenient with others, but he was always like a Pied Piper, with his kartals. He was tempting us to Krishna. He was tempting us. He was always the thing that I found really interesting. And when I was preaching to the Sunday school kids, they were all Indian, and they all had grandmothers, and the grandmothers did daily worship, but they couldn't tell them why. Prabhupada taught us why. He said, if you do this scientific process will happen. There will be purification. There will be rising through the modes. And can you hear the people talking in the background? I'm just wondering if I have to go tell them. Okay, no. Thank you. Good. It was a science of self-realization, and Prabhupada taught us to raise through the modes of nature and become better and better human beings so that we could actually become Vaishnav. He taught us to be human. It was a movement. It was a lifestyle. It was an entire lifestyle. It wasn't just a religion. He taught us how to get up in the morning, how to go to sleep at night, the consciousness to be in, and how to live our lives step by step. Hare Krishna.
So
He
what is
lived
his, yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, Ananga.
I'm sorry. He lived his philosophy. What he taught us, he lived it. And this is actually a question that many theologians ask. Why is in the scriptures is very strict, and then in the personal aspect of the saintly person or the prophet, they're usually considered as very kind by the disciples. And so this is like, I think Kusha explained it eloquently, that he put the why and he did it with always encouragement. And even if he chastised the disciple, it was done to encourage them, not to discourage them. And he made that very clear. It was like a parent who is very kind and wants the child to become better than them. And we want others, our children and our everyone that comes to our society, to become the best devotee, the best bhakti yogi or yogini that they can be. That was his legacy.
As he mentioned, right, in the various places, that example is better than precept.
Mhm.
And I think his example is that, just simply that, exemplary.
Yeah. And his very name is Bhakti Vedanta. So he gave the knowledge from the scriptures, from the Vyasasan, and it's very profound and powerful. And then he was there. There's a story. He was on the Vyasasan one time in LA, and he was saying the Jayom prayers at the end of a kirtan, Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa, and he's very serious. And I looked up because I wanted to see him, and there were little children in front of him, kind of swaying and looking at him and standing right in front of him. And he was making, while he's saying the Jayom prayers very seriously, he was making faces to the children. So he can do both, as Kusha was saying. This is the transcendent personality, and very personal. He was very personal. He was making Hanuman faces with the children, raising his eyebrows and smiling big. And I was thinking, I'm hearing very serious Jayom Vishnupad, and I'm seeing a whole different vision. It was very amazing, and I can only say mystical, kind of. So he was playing with the children. At the end, when he, Ki Jai, then everyone was going Ki Jai, and then one of them yelled out, Prabhupada. Like they all of a sudden, one of the little kids realized that was Prabhupada that they were standing, and he said, oh, he knows me in the microphone. So Prabhupada was very personal and reciprocal and kind and knew how to treat each one of us. And then in the knowledge he gave, Vedanta, the Bhakti and the Vedanta were combined. So
one of the things that Srila Prabhupada could see right into our hearts. And when he saw right into our hearts, he knew what we could accept. And there was one particular pastime where in Srila Prabhupada's quarters, somebody was explaining that they were going to be doing something that was un-Vedic, and I'm not going to get into the details of that because the person's still alive. But what happened was later Shruti Kirti was asking Srila Prabhupada privately in massage, Prabhupada, how could you let that person do that? Because we know that's adharmic, it's against everything you've taught us. And Prabhupada said, I knew that if I told him to stop, it would add Guru Aparad to his already difficult situation. So I refrained from adding that to his load. So the mercy of the spiritual master is so great that he digests the sinful activity and minimizes it at the same time by his highest instruction and also great compassion and understanding for the Jivatma and his disciples. It's not that we came pure devotees. He dragged us from the mire of nescience.
So Prabhupada's pranam mantras specifies that he's fighting impersonalism. What is personalism and impersonalism? And how does impersonalism creeps into our bhakti practice?
I would say just yesterday, because you can every single day of your life in Krishna consciousness, you can see examples how this happens. And yesterday, I was in a situation where young Bhakti, very intelligent, very disciplined, extremely qualified, was presenting to me an assortment of logos. And she'd written like, ISKCON, you're in the frame, sorry. So sorry, my husband's here. She wrote ISKCON of Hawaii. So I looked up of, because Prabhupada was really specific about the use of English language and how it was impersonal a lot of the time. So of meant like coming from that place. And I said, well, then I would have to move to Vrindavan right away because I don't want to be from Hawaii. ISKCON from Hawaii, no, ISKCON's from Golok. So I saw that to be an affront on personalism, to use the word of, a simple preposition could become it's like a deviation from Prabhupada's personal teachings. So we have to guard against it every single day of our life. We have to look, is this pointing to Krishna or does it take us away from Krishna? Prabhupada was specific. He spoke for an entire month in Hawaii about the use of words like intuition and instinct. It's supposed to be Chaita Guru. In the Vedic way of looking at things, it's Chaita Guru. But the English language lends itself to impersonalism. So consequently, we have to be on guard. all the time, every moment of every day, to see, is this taking us, reminding us of Krishna as Prabhupada wants us? Is this helping us remember Krishna? And if it isn't, it's the height of impersonalism. It's taken the one away, just like all the Bhagavad Gitas that were ever written since the beginning of time have taken Krishna out of it. I remember when my daughter, some wonderful devotees were telling her all about Landmark Forum and how this, that, and it was wonderful, wonderful for the mind. And my daughter said, oh, it sounds just like Krishna consciousness without Krishna. She was just a child. So we have to see how Krishna is in the center. The devotees are taught by Prabhupada that if something can be used for Krishna, then it's useful. If something takes us away from Krishna, then it's impersonalism. We have to always add Krishna to the front of all the zeros of existence.
And
Please.
yeah, that's beautiful, Kusha. And that takes me to think how, like you said, Krishna is the center. So in personalism, there's relationships and love. And without that love, there can't be a relationship. Without relationship, there can't be love. So putting Krishna in the center, whereas impersonal philosophy is actually selfish philosophy, because the impersonalists are thinking it's all about me getting liberated, stopping my pain. If I can't stop my pain, then better I don't exist. So that's the core of impersonalism. Whereas for bhaktas in Bhakti Yoga and Hare Krishna philosophy, personalism is at the foremost. Our identity as caring for others, empathy for others, compassion for others, helping others to grow and be their best. That's at the core of Krishna consciousness. So you can't become if you're actually Krishna conscious, there's no impersonalism can seep in. And if you're not fully Krishna conscious, then impersonalism seeps in. And we can see in our daily activities, oftentimes, I've asked one devotee one time, you're in the temple every day with, a handful of devotees, the same handful of devotees pretty much every day for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Every day you're in the temple there from morning 4 o'clock till 8 or 9 o'clock in the day, doing all these spiritual activities, deep meditation of japa, reading from the philosophy, hearing from Prabhupada's books. And can everyone say, there's a question we can ask ourselves, is there even one person amongst that group that we've been together every day for so long doing these spiritual activities that I can totally feel trusting to reveal my heart, my mind, my doubts, my fears, my weaknesses, and get help without having it, go over the community or getting, turned into gossip or turned into criticism or turned into chastisement. So this has become, that means that there's impersonal seeping in. If you say no to that and say, no, I have almost everyone in that temple room I can go to and reveal my heart, my fears, my tears, my distresses and my inabilities to follow spiritual life properly and not put on a show, that, that I can reveal that and they will take me in and nurture me and help me and not speak about it to others. If you can say that's there, then that's let me know. I want to go there. But if you say no, it's very difficult to find that person, then that means impersonalism has seeped in. Yeah.
I would say that you're defining safety, which is the core. The safety is the basis for honesty, truthfulness, and spirituality to be nurtured. Yes. Without the ability to be honest, to be safe in a safe place, there's no possibility of developing real relationships and growing.
And safety is the core of this whole, we're under the umbrella of this conversation, is under the umbrella of creating a safe space for the community, for families. So thank you for bringing that up, Kusha.
It's beautiful.
Do you mind
Beautiful.
if I move myself to a different room, because there's all this loud talking in the next room, and I can go into
Please.
another, shut it
Please
off.
go ahead.
You can go into a safe spot.
Yeah, no, they're loud.
Create your sacred.
Krishna.
Thank you, ladies. It's wonderful hearing from you. What did Prabhupada mean by dynamic Vedic culture, and how does this relate to Devi Varnashram?
Well, I think that Srila Prabhupada was completely inclusive, and he was ready to engage everybody in Krishna consciousness, knowingly or unknowingly, because he had tremendous Shakti and the ability to give out Agyata Sukriti like anything. So, I mean, even his engaging the landlord by putting him on as one of the directors on his corporation to get a reduction of the rent. I mean, he engaged him in Krishna consciousness unknowingly. So to always be encouraging, is Prabhupada. Could you repeat that again? Because I kind of lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no, what did Prabhupada mean by dynamic Vedic culture, and how does this relate to Devi Varnashram?
Well, I'd say again, Devi, you just add Devi, you add the Lord at the front of all the Varnas and all the ashramas. And whatever you do, whatever your nature is, you do it for Krishna. If you're a ditch digger, you go dig ditches at the temple for Krishna, and then it's devotional service. If you're a plumber, you can go do plumbing at the temple, and it's devotional service. Or you can give the fruits of your labor of whatever you do in devotional service, and it's Krishna conscious. So anybody and everybody, even in Lord Chaitanya's, in the situation, we even had, Prabhupada said we had mice in the temple in the early days in Hawaii. Prabhupada said, get 2 cats and feed them mouse and milk. So even the cats could do devotional service. So it's a dynamic principle. It's not leaving anything out. I often say that a real Krishna conscious person can find the utility, the usefulness of everything in Krishna service, even stool. I was making a joke about the fact that I was a worm herd girl because I was doing vermiculture. Yeah, I'm serving the worms in stool, and they're serving Tulsi. So I'm das anu das by serving the worms. It's dynamic. It's dynamic. Even the least, most junkety, funky thing can be fabulously wonderful in Krishna consciousness. Where could you ever say that? Where intention is the most important thing.
Thank you. Yes.
Intention. In the material world, it's results. Who cares about intention? They say the path to hell is led with good intentions, littered with good intentions, but that's not how Prabhupada was. Prabhupada saw the littlest glimmer of Krishna consciousness, and he engaged us. It's dynamic. He was always encouraging us.
And
even a child.
Even a dog can take part in it. Prabhupada said that. So dynamic Vedic culture in Devi Varnashram, as Kusha was saying, it's all inclusive. And Srila Prabhupada created the International Society, because a society can permeate all through other societies. It's not stagnant. His mission was always, he called it a movement, the Krishna consciousness movement. It was moving. It always moved forward. He always was expanding, never retracting, never making it smaller. He was always thinking of ways to expand it. Even when he wanted to boil the milk, at one point he said he wanted the devotees to become stronger. Why? So that they would not just go out there and, create shooting stars, but to go out there and actually be able to impart the knowledge to people from their heart and change their lives. That's why he wanted even us to, sometimes that wasn't contracting, that was also for expansion. The taking care of the devotees to learn, read his books more, have more classes, instead of just going out and, giving books out, but then without actually helping the people respect those books. So that was still for Sankirtan. It was still the purpose of going out and expanding. And there's a big misconception of what Varnashram is. As Kusha said, Devi is in front of it. Sanatan Dharma is in front of it. Devi Varnashram is the same, but putting Krishna in the center of everything. And that means Lord Chaitanya, when he was speaking with Ramananda Roy in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, they were talking about Varnashram. And Lord Chaitanya specifically said, it is not according to one's body. It is not according to your birth. It's not according to the place you live or your culture that you were brought up under, or the body that you have, whether it's an Italian body or Mexican body or Indian body or a woman body or man body or child body. It doesn't matter. It's the Lord Chaitanya specifically says it's the spiritual realization of a person. It's the spiritual maturity of a person that Varnashram is based on. So if someone has great maturity in spiritual life and realization, then they are the Brahmins. They're the leaders of the society. They're going to be the teachers of others. And if someone has a little lesser, but they're very active, but they still have some desire to, even if they have no desire. Actually, Prabhupada wanted us to, everyone is saying, I haven't heard his words in that way, but everyone is saying that he wanted Varnashram. And he wanted us to help establish Varnashram. We can't go backwards and put all the women in the kitchen and in the, making chapatis and ghee and yogurt and having babies. That's not Varnashram. Vaishnavas are above Varnashram. They're the ones that are the teachers to help others. So you go out in the world, forget those who are already Vaishnavas. They're not part of Varnashram. If we want to establish Varnashram, it means expanding the Krishna consciousness movement by going out into the society and finding people who have maybe a tiny bit of inclination to serve God in some way, or no inclination, and you fan it and you inspire them to want to take up Krishna consciousness. And then you engage them by, like Kusha was saying, if you're a doctor, you do some prayers before you operate to the Lord. And whether it's Krishna, and Varnashram really means whether it's Devi Varnashram means whether you say Krishna or Allah or Jesus or God or any other name for God, Jah, that is devotional service. That's Varnashram. You're fanning the spark. Prabhupada never said we have to change the whole world into Hare Krishna people. We have to change the world into devotees of God, devotees of Krishna, and devotees of God. And as they hear more and more from us, if we are kind and compassionate, then they will want to do what we do. So it's not, he never said we were sectarian in that sense. I mean, that's Devi Varnashram. It's
the word the word dynamic.
Yeah.
Just see how we start the day. What do? We sing and dance.
Yeah.
We sing and dance. Our culture is, we are party animals. I mean, have you noticed? What do? Sing, dance, and feast. And it says in the spiritual world that that they don't talk, they sing. Mm-hmm. And they don't walk, they dance. So what is the meaning of his divine grace? His divine grace is full of grace. His voice booming from the spiritual world. No other voice was in the history of any voice I've ever heard is anything like Srila Prabhupada's voice. His voice penetrated the material covering and right into our hearts, right into our hearts. And he got us singing and dancing for Krishna. We were all busy singing and dancing in the nightclubs. What good is it? It's a path to hell. But he turned our singing and dancing around to get us to be going back to home, back to Godhead, where singing and dancing was the lifestyle. He has us in training for Golok. Our lifestyle is training for Golok. And we're literally changing our identity so that we will be engaged in the very activities that we'll be habituated and addicted and completely enthralled and enraptured in doing these divine activities so that the next thing you know, we'll be right in Krishna's pastimes. It's a dynamic process. It's meant for elevating us through the modes of nature to Suddhasattva, pure goodness, so that we can go to Krishna's pastimes and engage in Krishna's service directly. He was transparent via media. All other saints were like, you can't get to God but through me. Not Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't say that. He wanted us to develop our relationship with Krishna. Yes, we had it's a descending process that the mercy comes down through the Guru. Absolutely. But he was developing our relationship directly with Krishna, directly with the deity, directly with the holy name. Directly. And then the word international, first word in ISKCON is international. It was worldwide, and through the lens of many cultures, he added Krishna. So it put Devi Varnashram to like an expansive earth planet platform internationally. And even like, I remember when Sudama came back from preaching in Japan and he was managing Hawaii for a while, we had kind of an Asian prasadam thing going. It was an Asian mix. You know, it was the first time we ever tasted poppers and basmati rice. I was like, oh my goodness. Like Prabhupada's disciples, we gradually got turned on to amazing things like poppers, papadums, and cultural things that were coming from India. And the world even you see non-devotees wearing sikhas now. You see that Prabhupada has influenced an entire generation of style.
Yes. And that's the lens of many cultures that you were saying. That's very dynamic. It's international, so there's going to be through the lens of many cultures. Now, we got Krishna consciousness from Prabhupada wrapped up we got spiritual transcendent knowledge of Krishna consciousness wrapped up in an Indian culture. But we cannot, it's not a good idea to be so intent about the wrapping and forget the essence, as you're saying. There's an example I like to give about the spirit of Varnashram. The very spirit of Varnashram is that transcendent knowledge that we give through the lens of all different cultures. When you take the tulsi plant from India, she looks very, very different than the tulsis grown in Hawaii or in America anywhere. Yeah, they're all very different. Some in India, mostly the leaves are small and leathery, very tiny, and many, many, many thousands of leaves, and the branches are thick. That's why they can make these beautiful tulsi beads. And usually in America, I don't know about Hawaii, but in America, the tulsis their leaves are more soft and large, almost like basil, a little more looking like a basil plant, a sacred basil. And their stems are very thin and wobbly. And they're a little bit more delicate to take care of. So when you transplant a plant from one one country to another. Prabhupada transplanted and transcendent knowledge that was wrapped in Indian culture to the Western soil. And it's going to look different. And that's Varnashram, that it can look different, that we accept that. It's already kind of going on, Varnashram. But like you said, we can have, Asian food as long as it's sattvic, and we can offer it to the Lord with love and devotion. Offer me a leaf, flower, water. Prabhupada said, from any place you find a leaf, flower, or water all through the world. And each flower will be different. Each water will be, the water will have a different flavor. Tulsi is still sacred, whether she's in Indian soil, American soil, or, Hawaiian soil. She will look different, but she's the same spirit. So the spirit of Varnashram is that it can look different, very different in all the different cultures of the world. But the essence is we're offering our food to God. We chant the holy names of God.
It reminds me of the mantra Gange cha Yamuna chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmada Sindhu Kaveri Jalismin Sani Dim Kuru, because all bodies of water are connected. So you can invoke transcendence in all bodies of water, that you, by acknowledging the sacredness of all bodies of water and how they're connected. In the same way, all Krishna consciousness is connected on the entire earth planet. Prabhupada taught us this, and he distributed Tulsi far and wide, and he distributed these beautiful mantras and this lovely deity worship. He, in the history of also gurus, again, in the face of all the gurus that ever came to America, who did deity worship? Prabhupada. Prabhupada installed deities in the face of the iconoclasts, in the face of those who would be deity bashers. Prabhupada put it in their face because he was teaching personalism.
Personalism, yes.
Not impersonalism, not a burning bush, not a disembodied voice. No, personal relationship with the supreme personality of Godhead. We're in training.
Beautiful. That was dynamic and powerful.
Yes, that's Prabhupada. That's our Guru Maharaj.
Beautiful. The essence of Lord Chaitanya's movement embodies the essence of divine love and the devotion. Lord Chaitanya's teaching center on the power of the holy names, particularly the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, to awaken the heart and to connect individuals with Krishna, with the divine. Through his example, Lord Chaitanya demonstrated that true spirituality transcends ritual and dogmas, and focusing instead of love, service, and shared joy of connecting with God. How is everything that Prabhupada did aligned with the core principles of Lord Chaitanya and all previous acharyas, and how can we protect ourselves from falling into the pitfall of thinking that we know better than Prabhupada and changing things that he taught?
Well, I think that Ananga Manjari, she's got some essential loyalty to that which is essential. And so we need, even Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he categorized knowledge. He categorized it into that which was historic, that which was essential, that which was sociological. There were many different categories, and we need to understand that which is essential. And when you were just saying that beautiful presentation, I wrote down a couple of the words that jumped out. And that was congregation, international, confluence, and shared. Woo! This is about preaching. This is about sharing. This is about including the whole earth planet. This is a earth planet movement. This is not a religion. This is not a culture. This is not this goes beyond time, place, and circumstance. It's an eternal Sanatan Dharma, the eternal constitutional position of the soul. And Ananga Manjari she's representing that which is essential. I'm wearing my sari. Today you didn't catch me in my pajamas. And I am, because I am a temple president, and I also met the devotees wearing a sari. And I believe that sometimes our dress runs us. And I took a little bit of acting lessons for a year with Herbert Berghoff in New York. And he says sometimes our costume runs the character. It method acting. And for the new person, like myself, I'm a new person, if I change my dress, I change my consciousness. If I change but you can get to the point where our religion was more Shiksha and Babas, not so much culture, because it was coming from a place where everybody had a similar lifestyle. But the Babas had literally given up all of these outward dress, all the outward designations. And only Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati brought us back to bringing in the sannyas order and other things for the dynamic preaching of Krishna consciousness. But still, we need to understand that which is essential. And we need to respect that which is essential. And why? Because we can recognize that which is essential in those who may not be exactly in our movement, as Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur did. He called many, he spoke of Sharagrahi Vaishnav, and he acknowledged those within the Western world that he considered Sharagrahi Vaishnav. They didn't engage in Vedic culture. Like Benjamin Franklin was vegetarian. He was a profound writer. There are many beings that had levels of advancement in Krishna consciousness that Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was appreciating. And we need to be able to recognize Krishna consciousness wherever it is.
Yes. Thank you.
When you mentioned that Krishna consciousness is not a religion, so Prabhupada, as you were saying, he expanded it all over the world. Lord Chaitanya, that was his desire. Prabhupada is carrying that out. Bhakti Vinod Thakur set some scenes on that. And so the essential is given to the world through the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada didn't call it an international institute. A society, again, can go into it can expand in unlimited ways, grassroots level, in so many ways, whereas an institute is for purpose, CEOs of institute. So this is not a religion, an ordinary religion, and it's not a religion at all, because we are not supposed to be dogmatic or we're interfaith. We're for everyone. It's supposed to be for everyone, attracting everyone. It's not an institute. It's not a religion. It's a society and a movement that moves on and it includes everyone. That's all I was going to say.
The word shared, I'm going to jump on the word shared again, and confluence, confluence, right. International congregation, congregational chanting. When we come together to chant, there's a collective adhikar that goes far beyond our level of advancement. So Prabhupada, the emphasis of the Yuga Dharma was congregational chanting. He had us coming together. He talked about the Kumbh Mela that 10 years before he was preaching to Govinda. He was telling Govinda Dasi about this Kumbh Mela that he was going to take her to. He said it's in 1977 and it's going to be the Maha Kumbh Mela. It was the most auspicious in 144 years. He said many yogis come from all over the universe. And the collective adhikar, where there are many, many people coming together to chant the holy name, you get some mystical experiences. So the more of us that come together, all these different legs and sects of Krishna consciousness here and there, offshoots here and there, when we are engaged in the marketplace of the holy name, there's no disagreements. We're coming together under the banner of Krishna's holy name. Philosophically, all differences are completely obliterated.
And that goes into that's very beautiful, because that's expanding the Krishna consciousness mission on the level of us who are in ISKCON, following Prabhupada's instructions and bringing it back to Prabhupada as the center. He created the Brahmacharini ashram. That's something he did to expand into that was revolutionary in the Vaishnav world, in the Gaudiya Vaishnav world. It was revolutionary. He created that Brahmacharini ashram for a woman to be able to have, as he mentions, his exact words in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, equal opportunity for men and women to serve Krishna, side by side, and do everything that they, what is their passion to do for Krishna, what is their gift from Krishna, using our gifts. So that covers, Krishna consciousness. It covers Varnashram. It's already beyond all of that. And that's what he gave. So that's very important, because, not just we want to respect all sadhus of the world, or all religions of the world, or all any individual who has some spark of love for God. But what about encouraging each other and loving each other, and having a more solid, like, first take care of our family, our not, first, always, everything at once. That's dynamic. But, we need to concentrate on that. And that's what this beautiful Vaishnavi Ministry program is doing, is trying to say, we're supposed to be personal. We talk about preaching to the world. We talk about giving love and bhakti yoga and Krishna consciousness and our relationship with Krishna, and inspiring others and encouraging others. What about ourselves? How judgmental are we? How quick to like the question had something to do with did I write it? No, but the question was something to do with I forgot the question. The middle part of the question, please. Sorry.
How we protect from falling into the pitfall of knowing that we know better than Prabhupada?
Yes, and of course, everyone who considers themselves a follower of Prabhupada, we're already thinking, oh, I want to do, I want to do what Prabhupada wanted. We're not thinking we're better, but sometimes with our over enthusiasm, we start thinking, we incorporate different aspects within the Institute of Krishna Consciousness that are not what Prabhupada wanted. So are we thinking that we're better? No, no one's thinking that I'm better than Prabhupada. Well, I hope not. Some might, but we hope not. But everyone's thinking, oh, I want to do what Prabhupada wanted. And, he told certain things about women that were social and cultural, but then he said in how everyone who is spiritual minded, anyone who comes to Krishna consciousness, is beyond these cultural differences and beyond these rules or culture, concepts that are there in the society. So he took us beyond that. That's very important to understand. And in what part of Prabhupada's philosophy or teachings or instructions does he say that we should treat others less than us? Is
Yeah.
there anywhere in Prabhupada's teachings or instructions where he says we should treat someone less than us? He says, if someone is not as intelligent as you, that's in nectar of instruction. If someone's not as intelligent or new, or someone you can guide, but you guide them with, you don't treat them less. You don't think they're less than you. You think a Uttamadhikari thinks everyone is a great devotee of Krishna. How can I help them become that great devotee of Krishna? And of course, we're not Uttamadhikaris, but a Madhyamadhikari is supposed to act like a Uttamadhikari. And a Kanistha Adhikari is supposed to act like a Madhyam. And otherwise our movement will not grow. And all of them are kind to each other. The Kanistha Adhikari on the lower level of devotional service thinks, oh, this one's different than me. This one's lower than me. I know more than that one. But the Madhyamadhikari takes everyone as kind of equal. We're all in it together. Let's help each other. And the Uttamadhikari sees everyone as the great devotees. And I want to fan that spark so they can be their greatest. And if they're better than me, I will be so happy. That's the spiritual world. Radharani is the greatest. And, and she even thinks, oh, the other gopis, they're doing so much more better service than me. And then they're all, trying, not competing. They're actually inspired. That's the key.
Yes.
That's the personalism. Competing is impersonal. I have to put myself up first or better. So I believe that, this is very important, that everyone wants to please Prabhupada, but are we missing the mark? And missing the mark in Greek, missing the mark means it's a sin. So if you want to talk about aparad and not wanting to commit sins, don't think that you're better than anyone. We cannot think that. God, we're all working on it. I'm working on it. I don't have that down, but I can understand that that's what Prabhupada wants more than anything, that we cooperate. It's in the 7 lessons of the reasons, what do you call them? The reasons of why he established this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that we want everyone to come together, men, women, children, everyone, different cultures, and cooperate and respect each other and give each other, not putting each other down. That's totally not in
the seven purposes of ISKCON, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Wow, it's been so wonderful. I can't believe, the time is almost over.
Yes.
But
Can
I
I
would
say
like,
something?
yes,
Kusha.
please go ahead.
Yeah, well, the better than Srila Prabhupada really got me, because the only way to be teachable is to be humble. If we're not humble, we are not able to learn. Like Vaisheshika says, I live to learn. Every single day of our life, if I can learn something, it's a good day. And it's like Prabhupada said, my Guru Maharaj sent you all to help me. So that his humility and gratitude was monumental. And one of the things that I see is that if we could understand that we ourselves are like looking through a keyhole through the spiritual world, we can only see a little bit through the keyhole. Prabhupada is telling us like Sanjay, and we're like Dhritarashtra blind, and he's explaining to us the whole beauty of the spiritual world. We're looking through this keyhole. Keyhole vision is not brilliant. It is not like you can see everything in the room, and each one of us might have a part of the absolute truth and more of the story that Prabhupada has imparted upon us. He has created, and again, this international society, it is like each tree in the material world gives a fruit, one fruit, unless you graft another plant onto it and you graft a bunch of fruit trees together to create many, many fruits on one tree. Prabhupada has done that. He's taken international cultures all over the world, taken the fruits from all of these cultures, grafted it together to offer it to Krishna. It's like he has created a desire tree that anything you want in this, and that is, if it's offered to Krishna and Krishna's mercy, it's available to all of his devotees. And he has created a world of Chintamani Dham, touchstone and desire trees.
I want to join.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So,
you know, that was what a
before,
great example. Oh, one more just quick thing. Talking about Prabhupada's humility and compassion. That was his strength. If we want to be strong in Krishna consciousness, a strong leader or a strong preacher or a strong whatever devotee, then humility and compassion is the way to go. Yes. So that's beautiful. That was Prabhupada's strength.
Beautiful. So how do we put Prabhupada's difficult statements into context of who Prabhupada is as a person and a Vaishnava? Sometimes we come to certain statements, right, in Bhagavat and Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, that are difficult to understand, or so how can we put it in context?
The difficult
and not abuse those context.
Yeah. Those difficult statements. He himself has made a little disclaimer at one point when he wrote a letter to Himavati, and she was asking about these difficult statements, particularly about women. And Prabhupada said that I am speaking from the men's point of view. When I speak, I'm speaking from the men's point of view, because in the society of the previous acharyas, that was the point, that was their way of speaking. The women didn't come under the trees to hear the sadhus speaking, because the women were busy with other things. The women in those ancient times were not as educated in general, except for the princesses and queens. They were highly educated, and they obviously had a lot to say about different things that were going on politically and spiritually. But the general public was mostly the men who were listening to these things. So Prabhupada is saying, he was speaking from the men's point of view. That's one thing. He made a little disclaimer on that. Another thing is that, like we say, the main word that everyone has an issue with is the word rape. And the word rape meant something very different. In time, semantics, words change, the meaning changes. We say, we say, oh, you just cracked a joke. But now crack means, intense drugs. So, I lived in a crack house. A crack house was a certain type of house that was created in Florida. A cracker house, they called it. Now, if you say, I'm living in a cracker house, it has a totally different meaning. It puts a whole different vision in your head. It puts a whole different vision in your head. So when you use the word rape and you say women like it, that it's a whole different vision. In Prabhupada's time, the word rape actually just meant seduce. It meant seduce or flirt. In the Bhagavatam, where this is mentioned, the king is flirting and seducing this woman who wants to be seduced. She's asking, she's going along with it. She sees, oh, this handsome prince, king, and he's looking, oh, this beautiful woman alone. Why are you alone? Who's your father? This was flirting. You're so beautiful. And she's going, yes, and your arms are so strong. She was reciprocating. She was, it was both ways. She wasn't running away and he wasn't grabbing her. There was no violence in this communication. So when Prabhupada is saying a woman likes to be raped, it means he was looking at her up and down. To some woman, if she doesn't want it, that feels like a rape. If a man is sleazy and looking at her up and down and she doesn't want that. But if she's attracted to someone, then it's mutual. It's a mutual, consensual reciprocation. So Prabhupada was talking about that kind of, flirting, flirtatiousness, wooing. You could say the old word was wooing. No one uses that word anymore. So it was like wooing a woman and seeing, oh, does she want me? He's actually asking, and he asks her questions. And she's answering, yes, I am wanting you. She's not running away. He's not attacking her. He didn't throw her on the ground with a knife at her throat or a gun and beating her and forcibly raping her. That is where in our scriptures is any kind of violence allowed. We're supposed to not even step on ants. And then we can rape a woman. So that word needs to either be changed for those who are advocates of not changing anything, or at least some footnotes that explain that, because it puts a thought in a person's head. That word is a very powerful word. It puts the thought of a woman lying on the ground, being beaten,
being attacked,
and killed, and raped, and and we're raping the earth already, Mother Earth. Now we think we can rape women, and it's disgusting that it can be even thought of in such a beautiful scenario of Krishna consciousness that Kusha just explained, how all the positive, beautiful things. So these things, there are some things that do need to either change or be explained very thoroughly and very powerfully. Otherwise, the world will not accept Krishna consciousness. And it's not just for the world, it's for us. We also have the wrong concept. If the men think that, oh, Prabhupada said this, that means the woman I should avoid, I should treat kind of like someone contaminated, and then and that's happened. So these things, there are things that need to change that are not what Prabhupada wanted. So if we're saying Prabhupada's legacy, keeping it intact, his legacy was caring, loving, empathy, and all of us being humble from the top to the bottom of administration, because that's the power. That's where the power lies, is kindness.
And
anyway.
his example was there, right? I mean, how did he instruct his leaders to protect women and children? And let me just rephrase on this women, because all of you were not, well, you were girls. You were 16, you were teenager, you were adolescents. So sometimes when it is said that all these women and men during Prabhupada, we were young devotees. You were teenagers. So how did he instruct his leaders to protect women and children?
I know, to address your first issue about the things that I find, that I may not understand or maybe even feel revolted by. I guess that would be the word to say, revolted by. And there were a few. So I initially because my approach to Krishna consciousness was filtered through the lens of my own conditioning and my bodily situation. So I found I didn't understand a lot of the way in which women were depicted, and I didn't understand. But I thought to myself, yes, by chanting you get realization, and by reading you get confirmation. So let me just keep on chanting, and eventually I'll realize exactly what's going on. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater on this one. I'm just going to categorize it into, I don't really understand this right now, but eventually I'll get a better perspective on it. There's so much. When I first came to Krishna consciousness, I was looking for my people. And when I was listening to the philosophy, all I could do was just say, yes, 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 yes. A million yeses and one no here and there. So I wasn't about to throw all that positive yes reinforcement. We're going for it. This is all something I believe in from the core of my being. I had to just suck up some of the stuff that I didn't understand. And then in the scriptures, you find out how everything is in Kali Yuga. The shoes go on the head. The caste system isn't by birth anymore. The genders are kind of reversed in a way. Everything's chaotic. Kali means chaos. there has to be a way to usher in Kali. So all of this confusion that comes in is Kali's way. So we just say, okay, let me resolve this by continuing the process of becoming purified. And eventually I'll understand all of these things. Just as Ananga was explaining about historically, the use of the English language has changed considerably. I mean, I've been corrected by my children on a regular basis, as you know, about the use of certain words, because in my day they meant something different. So there's a lot that we need to just put into a category of, yes, it's inconceivable and it will be resolved. I'm not going to just give up the entire process because I don't understand a word here or there. And I learned this course in tutoring, and there was they said, when a person yawns, when you're teaching and tutoring, when they yawn, there's a misunderstood word. And they recommended that you keep a dictionary next to you so that you could look up the words. And if you have a really big dictionary, they go back with the archaic meanings to the word. So it's the etymology, and the use of English language has changed considerably. And if you actually get a big dictionary and see all the usages, you'll come to arrive at the understanding that Ananga Manjari just brought us through in terms of the use of certain words and the way in which they were considered previously.
And there was one time some devotee, I think it was Jadharani, who asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, they're saying the women are less intelligent, and what do I do with that? And Prabhupada said, only if you think you're a woman, you're less intelligent. So but then that's also for the men. Why are they thinking that the women Vaishnavis are less intelligent? So that's important. And then as we're talking about, anyway, that's a whole other topic. I'll bring that up later. But about words, there's so many words that we're using that are actually in the movement, that we're actually hurting Prabhupada's legacy rather than encouraging it. And we can talk about that some other time. The words that we use, so important.
Yeah, one of the things it's like they say, to err is human and to forgive is divine. And a lot of times you see some of these young brahmacharis who are super sincere, oh my goodness, and they've demonized women because they're the antithesis of their spiritual advancement. But as a senior advanced person, we shelter the young girls and say, we just, humor them, forgive them, for they know not what they do. We have to become more Christ-like. They're sincere. They're making an effort in their service. Let's not agitate their minds. Sometimes, so I've been on parikrama and I've been super aggravated by some young whippersnapper, and I end up just saying, get married. Oh my gosh, just go get married. And then next year on parikrama, they're married. Haribo. But so over time, over years and years and years of relationships, even people who may be in an inimical situation with one another, you kind of start respecting each other anyway. I've been in situations where I've been cursed verbally straight out, and we end up respecting each other later on because we're not going anywhere. We're simply plodding along in our beautiful, lovely Krishna consciousness. We're still here, no matter what shame or what game somebody plays on us. We're still engaged in Krishna service, and we're still relishing Krishna consciousness in spite of all these different levels of immaturity. We forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of our program, but I'll have one last question for today. And that is how to motivate others, or how can women help women?
Very important. It's a
Sometimes we're supposed to
big
be
subject.
together and help
Big
each other,
subject.
but sometimes it's not the case.
Big subject. A very big subject, and I really feel like it's the most important thing. And again, it's going to take senior Matajis. Sometimes it's really difficult in a position of management because you got to get things done. And so you're plugging people into slots to get things done. And sometimes because I'm in that situation with management, it does become impersonal because it's institutionalized. It's a factory and you got to get X, Y, and Z done. And so it loses that soft, gentle, personal touch of encouragement because you're in this place that either you got to figure out who's going to do it or you do it yourself. And the people who are not doing it aren't doing it. So you get a little heavy sometimes. And that's rough. That is rough. Because I'm in that situation. I'm in that situation. And this is kind of a confessional situation. It puts us in a difficult position because often over and over and over again, I've tried to pull in every single lady in under my wing to be like my assistant to help me personally. And they're not interested. They want to find some man to serve. You know, there's only been a few in the 8 years that I've been temple president that actually want to just really, really assist in the situation, the service that I do. And as a senior not in a management position, it's so much easier to be conversational, understanding, a counselor, non-judgmental, not having expectations. Oh my goodness, it's a juxtaposition of challenge as a person who's trying to get certain things done in Krishna consciousness as a manager. So I think we need to applaud the ladies who are in management, and the ladies could assist them. And believe me, when I find a person, like I had this one really strong lady, and I saw she was born and raised Krishna conscious devotee. And she was really had a lot of chutzpah. I put her in charge of something. And she did it for a year, and then she got married and had babies and stuff. Wonderful. But she got to be in charge of something. She used her nature. So if you find a strong lady, wow, guide them gently, protect them ferociously, but you know, a humble, beautiful, hardworking, disciplined Vaishnavi lady that, wow, I really love to see them promoted like anything. Because boy, if you look at the statistics, they say there's more Mensa females than there are males. Men are generally mathematicians and whatnot. They have mathematical brains. And we can look at some of these science statistics and see that if you talk about women being less intelligent, maybe their intelligence is different. But is that difference, like even an autistic person has tremendous value because they can perseverate intensely and solve problems that we may not be able to solve. So if we see the beauty and we see the utility and we see the value in each person, we'll know how to engage them nicely in Krishna service.
Thank you. Ananga, anything you would want to ask? You're muted.
Where is Ananga?
She's here, but she's muted. Okay.
The Vaishnavi Ministry is such a wonderful thing that Sudharma, Pranava, and some of they have actually created this in this area of trying to help woman. And it's a beautiful thing. I guess we can all just encourage each other, whoever has the to have more meetings of women, even smaller meetings, We don't have to wait for permission. So in your community, women reach out to other women, create a kirtan group or a discussion group or a reading group, or, just a fun-loving, getting together group where that's safe, that everyone can feel safe to reveal each other's minds. And this is very much important in Krishna consciousness, as we know from the Nectar of Instruction, getting together and revealing your mind to someone of like-mindedness, whether it's in a group or it's in a personal thing. There's so much psychology out there that we can take advantage of, that we can use to help each other become Krishna conscious and help each other go through our, difficulties. There's so much out there already. So anyone who has any knowledge of that, create a little group, 3 people, 10 people. Prabhupada said even 2 people is association. And to talk and find someone, woman helping woman. It's very, very important. And it's important for the society, Krishna consciousness. It's important for the world, and it's important for your family, because when a woman has access to some friends, that's in only more modern culture where women are so isolated and only have their children and husband to refer to for their truth. But when we can expand that into some friendships, then our vision expands, and our Krishna consciousness can expand. Our perception of things can expand. We help each other.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As we wrap up this enriching discussion, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Ananga Manjari and Kusha Prabhu for sharing their insights and inspiring perspectives. It's actually conversations like this that reminds us of the power of collaboration and the importance of connecting to Srila Prabhupada to keep Krishna in the center. Thank you for your wisdom and for being such engaging participants in this dialogue. Thank you so much.
Krishna. Jaya.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.